Welcome to Depression Proof Your Life Live, a space for honest conversations about mental health, mental wellness, recovery, and resilience. Here, we explore how communication, environment, and mindset work together to move us from silence to strength. I'm Marion Mills, and I created DPYL out of my own journey through mental illness, addiction, and recovery. These conversations are about breaking stigma, finding support, and reminding you that you are not alone. If tonight's conversation brings up heavy emotions for you, please step away and reach out for support. Call or text 988 or call 911. Let's begin. I am excited to introduce my guest this evening, Carlin Tools. He's a voice actor from Chi-Town, Southside.
Chi-Town.
Yes, where he lives with his wife, Teresa. He has two adult sons, Tavon and Ahmad, and he is the proud grandfather of 2-year-old Princess Luna.
Yes.
He has owned several businesses, to include a successful ad agency called Carlin Tools. MS symptoms started when he was about 20 years old and officially diagnosed at 30 years old. Carlin was forced to retire due to MS increased symptoms affecting his mobility. But as they say, it pays to know people. His coworker and friend, Robert Hollywood Rhodes, worked with him at Dallas Radio 1 and introduced him to voiceover. Carlin, welcome to DPYL Live.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm wonderful. I'm happy to be here. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, and kudos to you, because I was saying to myself, this is a very important program, because these are things people don't talk about, but everyone has something. Robin Williams, I read, once said, the person who says that everybody doesn't have something has a problem themselves. And the thing is, this makes people more aware of it and make people more comfortable realizing, hey, I'm not broke. I just have to work through my stuff, period.
I appreciate you for saying that, Carlin. And honestly, that's why I created it. My own struggles, isolation. I want this platform to do just that, to make people comfortable talking about it. You started having symptoms when you were 20 years old.
Yes.
What do you remember feeling?
The first symptoms I had, my leg was shaking. I know my father would put me on his knee and bounce me a lot when I was a child. And I would do that to my sons and just bounce my knee, period. It was a habit I had from a child. And I was doing that. Well, one day I was sitting and just started doing it. And then I would have little numbness in my left side, on my arm, my toes, little things like that. But it would come and go when it didn't seem like anything major, like your foot was falling asleep.
Okay.
And I remember at college being on the basketball court one day, and my vision was blurry in my left eye. Went to the eye doctor. They sent me to ear, nose, and throat. Then they sent me to get an MRI. And all they said was some inflammation. It should be nothing. And that was that. Things like that would go on here and there, but nothing major. So I just kept moving.
What actually happened that caused you to realize you can't ignore it anymore and finally forced you to actually face what was going on?
I used to run a lot, and the weather was warming back up in Chicago. It was like late March, early April, when I was running on the lake. And as I was running back, for somehow my left leg was just like, no more. And it stopped. And I was like, wow, I fell. And that was the first time that had occurred. And I took a breath and I just went back on, and everything was fine. But as I ran additional times, I would have other things like the urgency to use the restroom, to not being able to control it and having to use the restroom on myself as I was running. And I read about your muscles do relax like that. However, it was happening too frequently. My leg was, every time I started playing basketball, I mentioned my leg shake with my knee bent, but my whole leg would shake when I'm playing. And as I'm just standing, it starts shaking. And I went to the doctor and I was saying, hey, I told him about my family's health. And I said, I want to check out everything. So he said, you told me you want to check out everything. Let's do some tests. He did some tests, and he said, we see some lesions on your brain via the MRI. Can't say definitely what it is, but let's do a spinal tap, which they did. That very uncomfortable, but it happened. And I was doing Carlin, out kicking it. I was in Dallas. Me and one of my partners, we were headed back to the airport. I had a phone ring. on a Sunday. I'm like, this ain't good. From the doctor, what the
Mm,
hell? And
yes.
sure enough, as I'm headed to the airport from Dallas, he said, hey, you got the test results. You have multiple sclerosis. Let's talk. I'm like, wow. So,
Wow.
yeah, but that was me. But I went into the doctor. We talked about it and everything. And I took what they told me. And I'm like, all right, I can do therapy because they say you can do therapy. I'm like, cool. I'm figuring I know it affected you physically. So I'm like, physical therapy, I can do that. I'll work out. I don't have a
Okay.
problem. Let's do therapy. And then it's okay. I'll write you a prescription. I'm like, prescription, what's that? Oh, I'm going to give you some medication. There's different ones, but I think this is the best one. You give
Oh,
yourself a shot every other day. I'm like, huh? A shot every other day? It's real simple. We'll walk you through it, but we'll do this. I'm like, no, hold on. Let me follow up. And I
mhm.
didn't want to do that. Again, me, I don't know if you could tell, but I had a big head, kind of egotistical. It's hard. I didn't want to slow down. I'm like, I don't have diabetes or anything like that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And you have that whole thinking like, man, please, I'm bigger than that. I don't need that crap. Nevertheless, I went about 2 years without doing it, and things were getting worse. The leg was bothering me more.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let me start trying it out. And I did. And things I had, when you first get it, usually you have relapse remitting
Okay.
MS. So therefore, it'll occur and then it may back. And it never goes 100% back, but it may go 95. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? So the 5% you don't notice. So my
Mhm.
point is, it doesn't affect you so much. You know what I'm saying? You'll have an occurrence and then things will snap back for the most part. But I didn't realize it progresses to a different phase, which could then go to a different phase. Again, you need to educate yourself because the doctor will only tell you what you ask. And if you
Mm.
don't ask, then you'll be wondering what the hell's going on as your body changes in front of you.
I really appreciate you for pointing out the family history.
Yes, it's very
So
important.
it's extremely, no matter how strange or how silly you think it may
Mhm.
be, this is your body. If you don't ask, a lot of times they will not tell you. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, when it comes to the doctor, that's why social workers and therapists in other ways can actually help educate. They have groups to actually help educate people after a stroke, after some type of diagnosis, because it's like this is your new normal. So, in touching on that, was there any physical therapy at all, or it was just medication therapy?
The physical therapy didn't start until I was in Dallas. I didn't have physical challenges that prevented me from moving and things like
Okay,
that. That
okay,
occurred once I moved here. It started occurring while I was in Baltimore prior to moving to Dallas. And I
okay,
started recognizing some challenges. But it would be like with the heat or if I wear pants, jeans, things like that. It felt like they were more constricting, although I never wore skinny jeans or tight pants. Just the way it felt because with me, my biggest challenge with MS is spasticity, which means
word?
spasticity.
Spasticity, okay,
Like a spasm, but spasticity. And it's like that, as if it's your muscles. So you have one muscle locking up, you have another muscle locking up, and they're pulling against each other. So with me, for
mm,
example, my legs will just stiffen up. Like I feel them stiffening right now, but as I lay, or I can sit back sometime and my leg might just shoot out.
yeah,
They
okay,
just tighten up and then just shoot straight up. And I have to let it cool out for it to bend. Or sometimes it
okay,
won't even bend right away. So those are my challenges. And it
okay,
becomes difficult. And of course, that happens when you have to use the restroom. And
okay.
as I was asking my doctor, I think it was a smart ass answer. I didn't care for it. I was talking to my neurologist and I was like, what's up with this? Every time I go to the bathroom, I have to go to the bathroom, my spasticity kick in. And it's hard
Right.
to work. She's like, it's all nerves, duh. Okay. I
Ever
don't
see
have her anymore, but then
good for you. Did you ever see a psychologist for the mental part of how MS affects you?
yes, there are therapists. No, I have not seen one. I've just in the past 6 weeks, I've gone as far as just verifying that my insurance does coverage. And I did go to the National MS Association is a very good resource. And I
Mhm.
went to that site and I found a few that I reached out to. And we've
Okay,
been corresponding. So I'm like in the process of, but I haven't committed to anything yet. I'm not above it at all. I'll tell you this. Having MS makes you aware of a lot. I read and I love different people's stories. So Richard Pryor is somebody I've always looked into. You
Yes,
may know he had MS.
of course.
And I was listening to an interview, or reading an interview he did, and they said, "What's the biggest thing that has happened with you with MS?" And he said, "This has been the best thing for me because now I can appreciate life." He said, "I have all this stuff around me, but I never really checked it out. I could be home or be all around and never paid attention to the things I had right next to me, my family, my garden, things like that. And it's definitely a gift. So enjoy it while you have. MS or any illness does not spell the end. It spells you just need to adjust to make what you want happen. As we've talked about it, I believe MS is multiple sclerosis, but I always say MS means move shit. You move shit around. You got to make things work. You saw yourself getting here by going this way. You can't do that now, but you can still get there. But you might have to go here. You might have to get this person to help you get there. You know what I'm saying? Things are different, but it does not end. And that's my philosophy on life in regards to, I believe you can accomplish everything. I've been fortunate, I believe, very fortunate in my life. Everyone has different things they can measure their happiness or success next to. I look at the things I've been fortunate to do, the places I've been fortunate to go, the people I've been fortunate to be around, the stories I'm fortunate to tell because I have those memories still, thank God. And as long as I don't lose that, I'm a very rich person. But I once read the guy who started Apple, the success is being able to wake up every day to do what you love doing.
Yeah.
And live and make a living doing it. And I do that. So I'm very successful when it comes to that. I have a family.
I created this platform. God bless me to go through things that I went through in order to create this platform. But this is your time because number one, what you are saying is extremely powerful.
That's real. That's real.
I'm going to tell you, it's extremely powerful what you're saying. And that's why I love reaching out to people that have been through some stuff, that have a story to tell. And we all have a story to tell.
Yes, we do.
Yours is one of resilience. And it's not, I think I said on one of the posts, I said something about the epitome of resilience, because it's like you're not allowing anything stop you. And that's why I chose the song "Ain't No Stopping Us Now" on some of the posts that I post, because it's like, this man it was like, okay, it happened, but I'm still able to move. I'm still able to do what I need to do. And it actually reminds me of when I was in the military. I injured my back. I'll never forget. I was running my final PT test in the Army, and I was running, and it felt, as I described it, little men just chipping away at my pelvic bone. I was just in pain. I could barely walk. I could barely run. It was, every step was painful. And I think that's probably some of the first times that I really started suffering with depression, because again, as you said, I used to love to run. But if I felt a certain way, I could run it out, almost like Forrest Gump, just running. But it's amazing. And I think it's beautiful. And it's a powerful story to be able to tell, that it's like, okay, no, I'm gonna go talk to somebody else. And again, I love the fact that it sounds like you were extremely self-aware of your own body. You could tell when things weren't working right. You did not ignore it. Even though I know in your bio, you said that you ignored your symptoms, but you were very self-aware. That hasn't always been happening. So I really appreciate, again, just how you tell it. And I know that it's going to resonate with a lot of people, whether it's MS or something else. Just really give someone courage and inspire them.
But in compliment to what you're saying, thank you, first of all.
Yeah.
My attitude is, like you were saying, you mentioned with me ignoring the symptoms, I did it. And that was more ego. That and my awareness, determination, and like, I'm not about to give this any life. I believe that you can overpower most things. And traditional medicine or traditional practice isn't the cure for everything, or isn't the only cure, shall I say. And I'm not saying there's a cure for MS. However,
I hear you. Yeah.
Sometimes you can grow in the understanding of things and get so in tune with yourself. You have to tie a string around your finger to remember the ill practices or things that happen to you. And don't get me wrong, I have challenges. I cry. I have all that stuff. There's a group of us in voiceover. We spoke at the conference.
Yes.
D, who chimed in, you had Tony on here last week. Several of us, good brothers, Terry, so Keith.
Dio Father, right?
Yeah,
Is
oh
that-
God, yes. Yeah, Doug, yeah.
Yes.
We share, we have a text, we share stuff that we're going through, and it's stuff that people be like, damn, for real, but it's real.
That's right.
When we were at the thing and we spoke, Tony was very real. I love it, but it's in your face. No, you can't ignore it. Authenticity can be misconstrued. There's an authenticity that goes well, and it's been a term used often just in society. You hear it used a lot in the past 5 years. However, I became familiar with it becoming a colloquial term in voiceover when, about 5 years ago, when it became a big thing here. And being from Chicago, authenticity meant keeping it real.
That's right.
Real. And that's not necessarily the exact same with voiceover. Authenticity in this means using your voice and your words, well, in your tone of their words. You know what I'm saying? Not your words, or not the way you would necessarily say it, because as a Black man, I'm not in a lot of those situations. However, as an actor, I have to place myself in those situations. So it's just funny how colloquial words mean different things to everybody.
So can you walk us through the progression of, and how it over time affected your mobility to where you had to use a cane, and now using a scooter from time to time, your mobility?
Yeah, I use the scooter a lot, actually. It started off with the cane. I started using the cane actually here in Dallas. So that would have been in the past 10, 11 years. I moved here in 2014. And shortly after I got here, I had to use the cane, but I didn't use it all the time. And then after I retired, after I stepped away because I was having falls and different things like that, I got a walker, started using the walker. And then you get tired. Is one of the challenges with MS. You get fatigue fast. When trying to walk in fatigue means danger. I've broken my arm twice, 2 different arms, 2 different times, a year almost to date apart from falling. And that's my drive, wanting to say, no, I can do this. When trying to take stuff out to the trash can, got boxes in one hand, trash in another, do stuff that I hadn't been doing and ignoring what I have. No, I can do this. It costs me. And several times I've had that happen. I've fallen many times than I would even want to mention, but it's a part of it. And I rather fall. Don't get me wrong, there's a limit to you want to do that. As long as I can walk, I want to do that. I want to do it as much as I can. And sometimes it may end up in a fall. But for example, because of that, I've started being on my scooter more in the past 3 months. And that's fine. But usually around the house, I try to walk, especially during the daytime. And when it gets later, my body gets a little more fatigued. I get on my scooter about 6, 7 o'clock, and I'm on that all day, the rest of the evening or whatever. But yeah, that's how it progressed for me. You go from relapse remitting to primary progressive stage 1, and then progressive stage 2. I'm in progressive stage 2, which I believe is the most advanced. Now, it doesn't mean the end of the world. It's just how you specify things. But essentially, with all MS, with all of it, you get gradually worse. With progressive MS, it's a more steady pace of it. However, there are people live well into their 70s or even 80s with it. It's just everyone is different because there are so many nerves in your body that control everything, every aspect. You got over 100 nerves just for one thing of your arm moving.
Yeah.
So one nerve could be affected, which may not be anything noticeable right away, but it might be you moving your pinky. So it affects everyone differently. But that's where I am.
Honestly, it's I think I was talking to D. I was telling them that a lot of times I would isolate myself when my back would flare up, because I was always having to explain, oh, what happened to your leg? Oh, it's not my leg, it's actually my back. Why are you walking like that? So the fact that, and I appreciate you for being so honest and open about, yeah, I feel down, I cried. But again, you don't allow it to stay there. You don't allow yourself to stay there. So I think that is, like I said, just
You know what? In my mind, excuse me, you have to allow yourself to cry. There's nothing
absolutely,
wrong with
yes,
having downtime.
that's
Allow it,
right.
but
Yeah,
recognize, hey, I'm taking this time. I got to do this. I'm feeling like crap. It's about to be a different day. Whatever period you put in your head, but you have to stick with that. Here's the thing. I'm not about to be in the bar in the corner with footies on, flicking the light on and off. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be that guy.
yeah,
And I'm not mad if that's your thing.
yeah,
However, I want
right.
to be progressive. There are things I want. When I was younger, I always read things like how to think and grow rich. What makes the great? I always read books. I have a bookcase behind me. It's all of those kind of things. And that's what I read as a young man. I've always wanted to be a business owner. So I've
Mhm.
always had that mentality. And it's but now what? Life throws you challenges. But like I said, having MS made me more aware, conscious, and empathetic to other challenges that I see
Mm,
people with. Because I see, damn, it's no lifestyle per se you have to live. It's no race. It's no age, sex, anything like that. No, it's shit that happens. Excuse my language, but it
mm,
happens. And now it happened to you. So now what are you going to do? Get some support. You can talk to other people like yourself, and that helps. I'm not in the active group other than what I said. I am more of an independent person. I try to be, but I'm very dependent. My wife is very helpful. I couldn't do a lot without her. I know that. But my attitude, the way I've come up, has always been about get it done. Stop excuses. Let's just make it happen. So that's my drive. And it works well for me, though. I don't have a problem. And then my first 7, 8 years or so with MS, people wouldn't know I had MS unless I mentioned it. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't physically tell
yeah,
unless you saw me walking for a period of time. I've had
yes.
people say that to me.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you didn't know it. I would hang out, drinking, walking, doing everything everybody else was. And see, when I came out of college, I was fortunate to start working in radio right out of college, the very
Okay.
first hip hop station in Chicago, straight out of college. So I was
Mm,
on that kind of a fast ride and
mm,
loved it. So they told me MS. I'm like, get out of here. I got somewhere to be. I got to do some things. I was
yeah.
in that fast lane big time, but I've enjoyed getting the hell out of it at the same time.
Sandy asked, how would you advise others to respond when they have fallen? She said that her dad had polio, and some can get it at 30, 20 to 30 years later, called post polio. She said, so he would fall often and wouldn't want to be a burden. What would you advise? Thank you so much for that question, Sandy.
Yeah, first of all, I would advise the person who's helping them be patient.
Mhm.
Most, especially men, but no one wants to be dependent because they can't take care of themselves. And Lord knows I do need help a lot. But like with people falling, every person they want to help you and they just quick to grab. And there's
Yeah.
something to it. Person may
Mm,
need to get their balance. If I don't have my legs up under me, you're
that's
going to
right.
be lifting all day weight. And then
Mhm.
I can't get my legs under me until you get me. I'm 6'5". So for you to try to get me upright for me to get my legs is difficult. So
Yeah.
allow me to get my legs bent, you know what I'm saying, and
Mm,
stuff like that. So I can help you help me. And
yeah.
then you can't just grab my arm as I'm gonna fall off balance. There's a lot of different things to it. So ask, hey,
Yeah.
look, I want to help you get up. What do you think is best? And be
That's
patient. And it's
so good.
difficult for people to be patient with you. And I understand. And then it's difficult for me to ask for help because I don't want to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? In my attitude, I'm like, look, I got this. It may take me a little longer. I'll get up. If I could use some help, but God bless.
That's our first instinct, is to try to help. But
And it's not that I don't want it. It's a lot of times people aren't patient. So if you can be patient with me to say how you can help me, and sometimes I don't know. You know what I'm saying? People ask for help, and I may not be in a situation where I need it right there. However, in 2 more steps, I'm going to be getting the car door. Yeah, can you open the door for me? Or when I open the door, do you mind taking the walker and folding it and putting it in the car? You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? And even with travel, I was telling someone recently, I feel secure traveling by myself going through the airport because it's actually one of the most secure and feasible places for you if you are handicapped because a lot of people are there to help you. However, being able to do that though is huge for me. Having traveled many times by myself, that was a part of my job at one point. I flew every week. But
yes. Yeah.
I don't want that at all. However, being able to exercise that independence, I've had to get my car manned up with hand controls for me to
Okay.
still be able to drive that because my legs, again, with spasticity, is scary. So I've had to outfit my home. Like this is my office now. I have my studio, but I have handrails for exercising and grab bars all around my house.
Okay.
So I can safely maneuver. I'm still using my walker, but when I get to the restroom, I want to walk, so on and so forth, things I can grab, shower, so on and so forth. But man, things are possible. Things are possible. I'm glad I have the resources to make it happen. Yeah, thank you. It was devastating. I'd actually gotten an MBA 5, 6 years prior to having to retire or something. My plan is actually moving to Dallas. I've always wanted to own a broadcast company. I worked
Mm.
in radio coming straight out of college, so I did like 25 plus years. And I wanted to try to get into ownership. And Texas has more independent media owned companies than any other state.
Oh,
So I'm
wow.
like, and there's a lot of money here. So I'm like, that's a good place to be. But working in radio and then going through the challenges I was having, the writing was kind of on the wall. Me being of an entrepreneurial spirit, I'm always trying to think of other ways to make money. And Hollywood, or Robert Rhodes, or Hollywood as he's known in radio, worked at the station, and he always did voiceover. And he would talk to me about it. I would ask him questions. And he called me in the studio one day. He called me in my office like, yo, come in the studio. I got something I'm about to do. And he did a job. And he said, just sit here. I sat there for 15, 20 minutes. He did a session. And I'm like,
That's
is
it. That's
it
it.
commercial? He's like, yeah, it's about $2,800. I was like, that was $2,800 right there? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, I'm getting in. So shortly after, I joined up with Edge Studio online.
Okay.
And I'm happy I did it. It was good. And I've met some people who I know in the industry now from there who were my instructors and stuff.
Yes.
That was
When I first met you, you told me about Edge.
yeah, it was a great experience. As a sales manager, I had to go out with my AEs to different meetings and things like that. I had times that are quote unquote embarrassing, but at the same time, you know what? It happens. It happens. So I'm at a client lunch, big lunch they were putting together, a lot of big agencies there with one of my AEs who had a lot of big accounts.
Yeah.
And I'm getting up from the table and I'm like, getting up on the table, I put my hand on the table and the table flip up and I go down, every food there. I'm like, damn, how the hell this just happened? I'm just getting up.
Yeah.
Get into the truck to check it out, trying to get out the truck, fall. So everybody like, oh boy. And I embarrassed my AEs. I embarrassed them more than I was embarrassed, which was my concern. But these things, and then falling at work, going to the restroom, I found that 65% of falls happen when people are going to the restroom because of the urgency. You're not paying as much attention. You're trying to get there.
Trying to get there. Yes.
Exactly. As well, it was like I saw it kind of coming at the job. I was telling my friend, you get the feel.
Yeah.
And I was telling my friend at work, not even a week prior, I said, yeah, I can see things not going to be here. I'm not going to be here much longer. I can tell the way the mood is around here. And I had to go to the restroom. And I said, I'm going to go out. No, I'm not going to go out in that hall because I could have went down one hall where I'm not walking past anyone. And I said, no, I'm going to walk straight ahead. And I go by all the offices. And surely I got a few offices down and tripped and fell in front of some of my peers in management.
Yeah.
And they helped me up, which I was very appreciative of. And I kept going on, but I knew my manager was going to be hearing all of these things because all of this was happening maybe within a 3-4 month period. Shortly after, she called me in the office and that's what happened. I got let go because of that. And it was upsetting because this is what I did from out of college. And I had a lot of investment. I moved here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For this job. And I don't know jack about Texas. It's hot as hell. I didn't know it was going to be this hot in Dallas. But here I am out here cooking now, not working, and a wife. Oh, just bought a house, just got a car. So talked to Hollywood, and he's like, hey, we talked about voiceover at no better time than now. I was like, wow. I had stuff coming in from Amazon. I was loading up my office, setting up my desk, all that stuff. I had some basic recording equipment just to learn the microphone. And then I started buying equipment. And that was in April, May. I booked my first gig in July via Voices. In November, I was done with Edge Studio. I finished with that. I had a demo. I got a local agency in Chicago, Shirley Hamilton Talent. picked them up in my hometown. That was my first agent. I got
Mm.
them in February. And in July, I had my first national gig. It was with Maker's Mark. Yeah, and it lasted 3 years. So I bought my studio booth and everything. Before that, my word is bond. The very first audition that I did in that booth was Maker's Mark. And I landed it. And it paid for that damn booth. But I invested in myself. I bet on myself.
Yeah.
I can control those odds more than I can any other game or anything else that you would bet on. You can control your odds, or you know them better. I'm blessed to still be able to talk. And as long as I can jump in that mic, jump in that booth, or if I can, I just put the mic out here, damn it.
Yeah.
But I can talk. I like to talk.
You're so inspiring. And I just want to give a shout out to God because he sets us up in ways that we don't even realize. He planted that seed for you to see Hollywood do what he does.
I believe you get everything you ask for. However, are you going to recognize it if it doesn't come in the package? If it didn't come sounding, looking, or tasting, whatever the heck you was asking for, the way you thought, you get it. It's your job to recognize it. You can't say you're hungry and pray and think that bread about to pop up on your plate. If anything, you get a bag of seeds and a shovel fall on your head. You got to do some damn work, but make it happen. You get what you put out there. If you don't put it out there, it ain't happening. And don't get me wrong, your attitude, your mentality plays a big part of it. You must be appreciative of what you have, the things you have. And I'm going to give it to my man, Stephen Gord, the voice artist. You guys know him. He's all over the place. But he put me on to some of this, and I think it's important. The whole thought of manifestation. It doesn't, in my mind, compete or contradict any spiritual. It's not about that. It's about being at peace and in tune with what you want. And then if you want to achieve this and you say, hey, once I get this, I'm going to be living like this. I'm going to be feeling like this. Think about how you want to feel and what you want to do and start embracing that now. Don't wait till you get quote unquote goal to feel good. What the hell are you doing with your time now? So keep going for your stuff. You got a rough time? I get you. It is rough. Deal with it. Keep it moving. Period. It's not that simple, but it is.
I love that. It's not that simple, but it is. It is. Sandy asked, are you involved in any trials or research for cures for MS?
No. No, I'm not. I'm not above it. Someone just reached out to me recently, exposed me to something. It was somewhat incomplete, or at least I did not get all the details of it. It was like some general post. And I'm open and then I'm not. I'm a black man, Reed, you know what I'm saying? The whole Tuskegee, all that. I believe that there needs to be African Americans specifically in testing and research, because a lot of things, especially medications, aren't suitable for us because they don't know. There's not a lot of blacks that they've studied with MS. So most of the books you read and things across the market are for the general population. Most MS is in northern populations. North, the further away from the sun, the further away from the equator, the more MS, because they say it's a direct relation between vitamin D, hence the sun, and then there's other things, but there is no specific known reason for it.
I don't know if you are aware, but the elements that helped me create that I try to focus on in regards to Depression Proof Your Life, for me, it was conversation, people talking about being able to talk about how the good, the bad, the ugly, the nasty is what it really looks like to be depressed or to struggle with. This is what we go through.
It's real. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And most people don't feel comfortable talking about it. Look, real talk. Now, who wants to talk about shitting on themselves or having a fall and busting their head? These are things that happen. It's real. You know what I'm saying? But it happens. It's real stuff. It's uncomfortable as hell. I've had times where I've walked past the mirror and I've cried because I've caught a glimpse of how I'm walking, how I'm bent over past this mirror. And I'm saying, damn. And I've seen myself physically slump or digress. I've seen myself go down, but it ain't stopping me. And I smile now because that's real. Everything is possible. And my belief is Only thing that stops you is you, period. But why not have a good attitude? I had somebody tell me, you can quit in your day. Why today? And sometimes you got to ask yourself that when you get down and you say, oh, it's funky as hell. I don't want to do this. Yeah, you're right. But what are you going to do different? What is going to make it different? Your attitude alone could. You're going to still go through the stuff you have, but just recognize you go through it. You can make small adjustments here and there, or maybe big adjustments. Do it. If it allows you to keep doing what the heck you want to do, it's worth it. That's my thinking. I believe in going for what you want to do, man, period. You should take the time to grieve. Whenever you have that feel to grieve, it's nothing wrong with it. Take the time to do it, but give yourself a limit. And if you have to go above that limit, then you do. But then give yourself another limit. Don't just say, I'm going to grieve forever and be stuck with that, because then you say you're stuck with having a pouty face and not being happy. I don't want that. And guess what? Most people don't want to be around that. They want you to want the best for yourself. And attitude is everything. You would be surprised with what you can get with the best attitude. If you have bad stuff going on in your life, but your attitude is great, people will even try harder to do stuff for you because they're delighted to see that you can still smile. I realized I was dealing with depression in March, April, right around the time of the voiceover conference. I just started snapping out of it in March. I didn't realize that you don't know what depression looks like. You hear the term, you don't really know what it feels like. Man, I ain't feeling right. Why am I thinking this kind of crazy stuff? Why does this keep popping up in my mind? Let's make it better.
Carlin, you have been a breath of fresh air. So no, thank you. I really do appreciate you. I really do.
Marion,
Really,
thank you for this opportunity. You've been very authentic yourself, making yourself vulnerable, sharing your story. And kudos again for providing this opportunity and this outlet, because it is valuable. Everybody you know got something. They just ain't said nothing. People are good with covering shit. So I'm sorry. There's my mouth again. Yeah, I was going to say that.
As I share this, is there anything else that you would like to share?
I've been blessed. And this is a good day, and life is good for me because I'm here talking to you about it. And I'm not in a bad situation. Things could be much worse. And people who have physical challenges much worse are still living good. You learn about your vulnerability and other people's vulnerability, which makes you a little bit more willing to be vulnerable, because you see that this is not just you.
Thanks so much for joining us on Depression Proof Your Life tonight. If this conversation stirred up heavy emotions for you, please reach out for help. Call or text 988 for 24-hour support in the U.S. If you're outside the U.S., look up your local crisis helpline. Until next time, take care of yourself. And remember, healing is possible.